Yeah, I was just scrolling through my phone watching some of the still shots, really, but also the video of this Marc Fogel release. This is one of the coolest, honestly, most heartwarming things I've ever seen come out of news stories. The American release finally, after 4 years in a Russian detainment anyway, we'll call it a Russian jail, finally got done and he comes home. And to me, though, it's amazing because I remember following this for a long time because we thought he was going to be released a couple of years ago. I'll tell you why in a moment. To me, the story is the family, how they kept fighting for him and never gave up. And I learned something just this morning from an interview his sister did last night, talking about how it finally got done. And we know how it got done because we've got people in there who negotiate now. It's an amazing story. Plus, we'll talk about the anti-DOGE protests. They've gone from desperate to more desperate, I guess. But it'll give you a chuckle at the end, and it's given us a new banger to sing along to. There are anti-DOGE sing-alongs now. I kid you not. This is actually happening. All right, with all that said, let's get taking care of some business here. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio. I appreciate you. My name is Bill Adams, and Wicked Radio audio podcast always available shortly after the live stream here on X and on Facebook and on YouTube and all that good stuff. So download that, share, put notifications on, all that good stuff. But let's get right to it. Coolest thing in years that I've seen. Marc Fogel, a little bit of background story here. So he's a teacher. He was on contract. He was contracted to teach English to students in Russia. He was detained in Russia because if you're an American there, you're a target for having medical marijuana. And for what all reports have said was just a little amount of medical pot. So that's why they detained him. And he was held there for years. Well, he finally gets home yesterday, and this is a little bit tough to hear, and I'll boost up the volume for you to hear, but this is when he actually arrived on the ground, and he's greeted by President Trump. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson was there, as well as some other American dignitaries, and this is what it sounded like.
My thanks is for you and your administration and these amazing people that have brought me home, and I just will spend the rest of my life in debt.
You can imagine how grateful he is for that, right? You get that. And I've seen a lot of chatter online because a lot of this goes back to some of the first questions were, why couldn't Biden get this done? Why couldn't he? You know, why, or did he not want to get it done? And I don't think that's the case. I really don't. Because you got to think about this. They're politicians. If Biden was able to get this guy released, or somebody in his administration was able to, I think, of course, they would have, because it would have been a massive political win. Here's the difference. I don't think they had anybody in that administration, that thing we just survived, right, as we're trying to put in the dark, dark past. I don't think they had anybody in that administration who actually had the balls to negotiate and get it done. I truly, truly don't. Now compare the difference. You've got Trump in there for 3 weeks into this administration. I don't know when the first call happened, but Trump gets on the red phone to Putin, and he's like, yeah, hello, Vlad? Yeah, it's Don. Listen, I want you to get that pot-smoking teacher out of your jail right now, or the next time I see you, I'm going to kick your ass, okay? Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, how's the wife? Okay, bye-bye. And that got it done. It did. Facts matter. Trump got this guy released, but it wasn't just him. Now, Marc Fogel, they take him right to the White House, and apparently he spent last night in the Lincoln bedroom. That's kind of cool. That's a cool thing. You've all seen the still shots in the video I was talking about. He had the American flag draped over him. It's just a very powerful image came out of this yesterday. This is why a lot of people, including myself, say, we are back. We're back to America not getting kicked in the face or the shins anymore. And he gets to the White House yesterday, and he says this.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero. These men that came from the diplomatic service are heroes.
Well, he's a hero too, and this is why I think he's a hero. Now, I've been really following this story quite a bit because I was fascinated from the beginning of his family. To me, that's the story. You'll hear from his sister here in just a second on an interview she did last night. She's done a lot of the PR from the family. Now, think of the situation in your own family. Who do you have? God forbid if anything like this had happened, right? You've got a family member detained in a foreign country, an adversary. Currently, and I'm talking about, over the past 4 years, before the past 3 weeks, you got an administration that does not know how to negotiate, right? You're kind of left alone. What do you do? Think about your family right now, who you would put in charge of doing the PR, number one, who you could also kind of recruit in your family or friendship, close social circle to do the calls to you, to Congress people, senators, secretaries of state, anybody you can possibly get a hold of in government, anybody with any leverage whatsoever who will take your call to do an interview, to get his name out there to remind you that he's still in captivity in Russia. Who do you have in your family to do that? Do you have anybody? Do you have people who would fight for you and continue the fight like they did? And I will tell you this, if you don't have them, get some, because that's the only reason why this guy's free right now. Trump will get all the credit, obviously, and he should, and this administration should. And I guess Marco Rubio made some very, very powerful calls as well over to Russia to make this happen. But it's the family story here that's amazing. You never, ever, ever give up the fight. And they didn't. Proof positive. Okay, so here's Ann Fogel. She's his sister. She was on CNN last night. Listen to this development. I didn't even know this till I saw this last night, the clip of it last night. I didn't see it live. She told the story about her family pushing, the mother especially pushing, but Ann Fogel did a lot of the PR. The mother had been reaching out to anybody she could in the Biden administration, obviously, because we thought for a while he was going to be released in the Brittany Griner thing. More on that in a second. But then she sees that Trump's running again, and she reaches out to him personally and goes to the rally in Butler where a promise was made. This just makes an incredible story even more incredible. Here's the sister, Ann Fogel, last night.
My mother went to the Trump rally and saw President Trump shortly before he was shot.
In Butler,
So
right?
it was
In Butler, where
crazy,
she's
yes.
from.
It was
Yeah.
just a crazy turn of events. And he told her then that if he was elected, he was going to get him out. And the man was true to his word.
Wow. Wow. Now, you can take this a bunch of different ways. Again, my takeaway is the family fight, because they never stopped. This only happens because they never stopped fighting. And the mom going to the rally, and the Trump people knew exactly who she was, but to get a face-to-face meeting, he can look into her eyes, hear her plea for her son's release out of Russia, and then to make that promise. That's what got this done. Here's the thing. I started paying attention to the family angle of this thing when the Brittany Griner story had happened. A year and a half ago. How long ago was that? You might remember this. The WNBA player, the basketball player, she was held in Russia as well. And I think a similar thing, I don't know whether it was medical marijuana, but it was a pot charge, whatever it was. But that's a big chip. So, of course, Putin's cronies are going to hold on to her because that's a big chip. Because the Biden administration at the time saw oh my God. Yeah, a black female WNBA player, that's that's all the leverage in the world. I mean, we got to get her released. At the time, I don't know if you remember this, the family, Marc Fogel's family, the same family you're hearing from right now, was incredibly hopeful because up until the last minute, this is how cruel this was, up until the last minute, they were talking about releasing Brittany Griner along with Marc Fogel at the same time, and it looked like they were at the 2-yard line. It looked like they were going to push it through, and it was going to happen. At the last minute, that deal fell apart, and we didn't get Marc Fogel home. Can you imagine? Can you imagine just being in that situation? Again, go to your own family situation. You've got a sister who's being held by somebody in Russia, right? You're being told by a pathetic State Department you're going to get this thing done. The last minute you find out no. And then you think you have no leverage whatsoever. You're never going to see him again. They never stopped fighting. As luck would have it, administration changes, she gets a face-to-face with Trump, and it happens. Now, a little bit more to the background. Remember this? Do you remember the name? Do you remember what the trade was who got Brittany Griner, the WNBA player, the apparently more valuable than Marc Fogel, an American teacher? That should show you how we feel about things in society, or certain segments feel about things. Remember what the trade was? I'll give you a second to think about this. What was the one-for-one trade? There were some other side ones, but the one-for-one main trade we got to get Brittany Griner back a couple of years ago. His name was Victor Bout. We released Victor Bout, a terrorist, a Russian, who was known as the Merchant of Death. That's what he was called. That's what he was called by countries around the world because he sold arms to terrorists. And the stories came out immediately. It was within days and weeks after that guy got released. For Brittany Griner, not Marc Fogel, and he went right back to selling weapons to the Taliban. That's where we are. No, that's where we were. But the family never kept fighting, never stopped fighting. And they kept up that fight. Is why you got to have somebody in your life that'll fight for you like their family fought for this guy and will continue to fight. And the story gets even better. You ready for this? Hidden in this big, giant news story last night, this was again at the White House when they finally got there, Trump drops a little teaser. You want to talk about a negotiator? You want to wonder why people voted for this? A negotiator, a business person in the White House? This might give you a clue.
Going to lead, and somebody else is being released tomorrow that you will know of. But we wanted to get this done, very important.
I don't know whether we're going to release any Russians or anybody else from our captivity to get this thing done. But he says that would be today, because he said it last night. We're going to get another American released that you'll hear about. We're not getting kicked in the teeth anymore. And it's an amazing development to happen. I just feel so good for this guy. I really do. It's big. The imagery of it, look, the perception is really what happens here. Most people, and it's a viral image that's going around with Marc Fogel and the American flag around him and Trump greeting him, and he's there and he's hugging his family, and that really matters. That's one of those things that sticks in the minds and in the psyche of citizens everywhere. This is an amazing victory. And again, it took 3 weeks to get this done. After the pain they went through for the past 4 years, including the most painful thing of all with the Brittany Griner swap, the family thought, they were told by that previous State Department that he was going to be released. And they got ripped away from him at the last moment. But the mom, like any good mom, right? And my mom would have done that too. She would have gone to the rally and talked to him. I'm sure you would have too. Or I hope somebody in your life would have asked Trump personally to get her son out of Russian captivity. And it happened. Yeah, that's just awesome. All right, cool. Well, we got this. After all of that, after that emotional story, you need a laugh. You need a chuckle. We all need a chuckle after this, right? And I was here yesterday saying that, those anti-DOGE protests, the people that are, they're outing themselves. It's like you can see where the rats are. They're all coming out of the soup and the sewer because they have a vested interest in holding on to the corrupt money they've all gotten, right? All this our taxpayer money going to these NGOs and these organizations, and then it's getting funneled through other things, and we're not getting anything back for the money. So the politicians that are out there doing these protests, they have a vested interest in holding on to their corrupt money, right? So they're not dumb. They know what they're doing. They're just corrupt as hell, and they have to out themselves. And then you have the other side of this thing, though. Then you have what I call the useful idiots. The other people who don't understand that this is all corrupt. They just, they'll see like a name on one of these organizations. USAID. Why in the world would you ever want to get rid of that? Those are the useful idiots that are used by by the corrupt people. Well, the useful idiots are all coming out now. Now, these protests have gone from desperate, which was the smart people, because they're just, they're trying to hold on to their money and their cash income, as illegal as it is. And it's moved from desperate to sad. But it'll give you something that'll stick in your head, I promise you. I don't know where this was. I don't know exactly who they are. Just know that these are the useful idiots for the other side to save their corruption. You ready? They've got sing-along songs now. A 1 and a 2 and a...
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Yeah!
Me, which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Here you go.
We'll fight against DOGE. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon scab within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk.
It goes on. I wasn't going to torture you anymore with that. Some of the lyrics, if you missed it, me talking over it, were we'll fight against DOGE, we'll fight against Elon. It goes on for like 3 minutes. And as much as I'm laughing at them, I swear to God, since the first time I heard that early today, that sing-along, that tune, that melody has been stuck in my head ever since. Like I was getting ready for this thing, and I'm going, which side are you on? So I'll give him this. At least it's catchy, right? Oh, boy. But when you know what? That's another thing, too. When you talked about the imagery with the Marc Fogel release, when you've got most people, and most people are, it's just because it's already a meme, and people are already like chopping that up and making fun of them. When you're getting laughed at, you've lost the battle. Honestly, it's just, I think they just lost it. I really do. But at least that's today's chuckle. But the takeaway, find people like Marc Fogel's family, who will never stop fighting for you. And if you don't think you have those people in your life, hopefully your family, get some, because you never know what's going to happen. It's an incredible story. And the second one is, as always, don't take any crap from anybody. All right, rolling through the work week. It's past midweek already. You'll start talking about some Valentine's Day stuff. How about that? How about that for light and fluffy as we head towards tomorrow and Friday, heading into the weekend. Also some headlines, too, as well. Like Trump teased there, I can't wait to find out, and I'm sure we'll have the news by the time we come on live again tomorrow morning. Who's going to be released next? Hopefully we don't give up anything again. I can't wait to find out. This is a great thing. And you're right. If you're thinking it, I'll say it for you. We are so back. Have a great day. Thanks for finding the live stream, by the way, the audio podcast. Just about 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's posted wherever you like those. Spotify. What's the other one? iHeart. That's the other one. I can never remember those, and I don't know why. Thanks for finding me. Have a wicked awesome Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.